Hello everyone and welcome to a book review. This one is for a non-fiction book, and that is The Splendid and the Vile by Erik Larson. Now I will say this, I don't read a lot of non-fiction books. I would like to read more because I have found there are certain non-fiction books that I like, and Erik Larson is one of the non-fiction authors that I do like. They do not feel like a textbook. They are not overly complicated, like there's not a bunch of scientific or medical terminology or whatever the case is. They are intriguing that I learn and I think, and they are simple enough that I can understand it. So, and in a way, the very first book by Erik Larson that I read was Devil in the White City, and it felt like I was reading a fiction book. But it was actually nonfiction. So I like the fact that it feels like a fiction, even though it is a nonfiction. Love that. So I highly recommend Erik Larson, especially if you want to get into nonfiction. I would highly recommend starting with Erik Larson. I think he is a very friendly nonfiction writer, if that makes sense. So The Splendid and the Vile. This is a standalone. It's not part of a series or anything like that. This would be found in the adult section of any book store or library. This particular one was published in 2020. There is an audiobook available, and it is narrated by John Lee and Erik Larson. Now, Erik Larson just does any notes or introduction, things like that. So the bulk of this book is narrated by John Lee, and it is 17 hours and 49 minutes on standard one-time speed. So the Splendid refers to Winston Churchill. The Vile is Hitler. Yes, this takes place over World War II. And Winston Churchill is in England. Obviously Hitler is in Germany. So this is the start, kind of follows from the start of World War I all the way through the end of it. So it's told in different parts. And it starts, oh, there's a map. I did not realize that. Anyway, let's see. It starts in 1940 is when the first bit starts. May to June of 1940, the rising threat. So we are learning about Churchill. This is very political, heavy politics, and trying to figure out what tactics Hitler and the Nazi regime are going to be using to try and infiltrate other countries, what they can do to make their citizens safe, and things like that. So it's just a history of Winston Churchill rising from a lesser known figure to the figure that he is now known today as, and him trying to help keep his land safe, basically the land of England, from Nazi invasion and Hitler and all of that. So you have some perspectives in this that are told about Churchill and his life, and occasionally you'll get flashes over to Hitler and him discussing his tactics with his first in command and all of that and what they're going to do. So yeah, I mean, that is what it is. It's Churchill's history. From the start of World War I all the way through the end. Now, what I struggled in history, taking history classes all through school. I'm talking like elementary through high school. I struggled, and part of it is I couldn't take my time and delve into certain aspects, and so it was very quick, and so a lot of it went over my head. I learned more in this book about World War II than I ever learned in any of my years of schooling in any of my history classes. So I enjoyed this. I do have a couple of tabs here of things that I found interesting and things like that. So, for example, one thing that I learned was that Winston Churchill could really see the benefit of the United States entering World War II and how it could help tip the balance of power to overthrow Hitler. And the United States was reluctant to enter any war. They would give aid, like money and tanks and all of that, but they were reluctant to enter the war at the time. And I did not realize this, I don't remember learning this in high school, but I knew of Pearl Harbor and how we were attacked. The United States was attacked by Japan, but I did not realize it happened at the same time as World War II was going on. So I did find that interesting. So the United States was kind of forced into two different wars at the same time. So yeah, I did find that very interesting. Couple of things to be aware of. Suicide is mentioned, and it is depicted in these pages. It is described how people kill themselves. Now I have heard, and it was confirmed in this, I didn't know if it was just a theory, but it is confirmed in this book that Hitler actually committed suicide, along with other Nazi people that fought in Germany. So, and it does describe how they did that. You also have description, because this is war, you do have description of bodily injury and death due to the war. So you are getting a little bit of gruesome details, very mild in my opinion, but I go with heavy gore. I like heavy gore. So for me, it was very mild, but so definitely take that with a grain of salt. You also have talk of miscarriage in this. I believe it is just very, very briefly. This is what this edition, before we get into like the notes and the sources and acknowledgments, so the actual chunk of the story is 503 pages. You also have talk of affairs. During World War II, and I don't know if, and I'm sure this is just with every country that's involved in any war, affairs goes up. You know, you have people away from their family and they're looking for certain connections. So there's a lot more willingness to have affairs. There was a lot more of people just looking for flings, because it's like they don't know when the last time is, if there's going to be a bomb raid or a blitz attack, if they're going to survive any single night. And so they're looking for that connection. There are people that lived in couple-story homes, like in hotels or apartments and stuff, and there was discussion as far as what floor in said unit would be the safest. Is it best to be on the bottom floor, so if a bomb hit, you're not getting the big impact of a bomb hitting the building? Is it safer to be at the top to be taken out by the bomb rather than being at the bottom and have the whole building and everything else collapse on you? Or somewhere in the middle. And there are people that didn't care. They just wanted, if they were going to die and be taken out by a bomb, they were going to be safe and comfortable in their bed. So there's discussion of that. So yeah, that's, I mean, it's a nonfiction, so it is what it is. There's not big plots or anything to tell you about. It's just about Churchill being heavily involved, the people that were surrounding him in this political group to try and outsmart Hitler and to get the United States to enter the war to help overthrow Hitler and all of that. So I did find it very interesting. So a couple of things to be aware of as far as word usage, in case any of these words are bothersome to you, that will either sway you to avoid the book or to just say, yeah, I'm going to pick it up. You have the word suicide comes up 3 times. That does not mean that suicide is depicted only 3 times. It is depicted quite a few times, but the actual word use is only done 3 times. The word Satan is used 5 times, and this is actually because there is a particular bomb called the Satan. So I found that interesting. So a bomb was named after Satan. The word God is used 37 times. Sometimes it is in a religious sense, sometimes not. Hell comes up 7. Gay or gaily comes up 11, and this is, I mean, you got to think this is the 1940s, so it is not used as far as LGBT. Gay or gaily is used to happy, joyful, happily, you know, things like that. The word bastard comes up twice, whore twice, bloody 4 times, and where Churchill is in the UK, bloody is generally, my understanding, is like the F-bomb here in the United States. The word Christ comes up once. Queer comes up 4 times, again, not an LGBT stance. It is used in the form of something being odd or strange or weird. The word damn comes up 5 times. Fuck comes up 2. Breasts once. Cock once. The name Lord comes up once, the term goddamn once, and son of a bitch once. I know people swore back then, but a phrase like that, I'm just like, oh yeah, they would say things like that, of course. So yeah, so that is the word counts. Please be aware, there's always a chance I could have missed some of those tallies, so there could always be just a little bit more on some of those words, but yeah. Now, I do want to, because there are some things that I found really interesting. For example, it says, London's mailboxes received a special coating of yellow paint that changed color in the presence of poisonous gas. Suddenly, everyone began paying attention to the phase of the moon. Bombers could attack by day, of course, but it was thought that after dark, they would be able to find their targets only by moonlight. The full moon and its waxing and waning gibbous phases became known as the bomber's moon. I found that interesting, and that makes sense, because if they want to go and bomb a place with the cover of night, but they need to be able to see their target, the moon is going to be able to help them see where they're going to bomb and all of that. Let's see. We can only do our best and give the rest of what we have, whatever there may be left to us. I don't want to tell you every tab, because that'll just, not everyone's going to be interested. It says, love me, love my dog. And if you don't love my dog, you damn well can't love me. Yeah. Same thing with if you're more of a cat person, which I am, love me, love my cat, or you damn well can't love me. Okay, I'll just do two more. The Lend-Lease Act, central to the proposal, was the idea that it was in the best interest of the United States to provide Britain or any ally with all the aid it needed, whether it could pay or not. I just found that interesting. It does go into more depth on that, so it just kind of gives you a little bit of, there are other things like the Lend-Lease Act coming into existence. No man can tame a tiger into a kitten by stroking it. So yeah, there's some very interesting things. Again, for me personally, I learned more about World War II in this book than I did in school. So I enjoyed this. For a nonfiction, I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I really enjoy Erik Larson's writing. I'm going to be in the process of trying to collect all of his books. I have listened to some via audiobook only and thoroughly enjoyed them, so I did like my experience of reading along with listening to the audiobook for the nonfiction. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Is this something that you would be interested in reading? Have you read it, or are you going to give this a pass? If you have read other books by Erik Larson, what is your favorite book that Erik Larson has written? Let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book, and I'll talk to you later.